Camera C. All right. Somebody said, "Oi." Is that what you said? Yeah, oi. What's up there? All right. Pottery shelf. Moving some things around, so it's kind of a mess down here. But we must throw. Gonna wedge this stuff up real quick for you guys. Oh yeah, I have a couple of friends hanging out with me, so I gotta accommodate them while also doing my thing here. Let me get some water here. Around this bottom edge. Bring this out to the side. There we go. Is this moving around? No, I think we're good. All right, now we gotta get some of this. Gonna get some more water. All this chunky stuff out. Get some new watery stuff. Set that right on this ledge here. All right. Where's the sponge at though? Oh no. Oh, its stuff is right here. I thought it wouldn't swim in. All right, so we need that. That's kind of it. We only need those 3 tools. Are they artists or potters? Yeah, artists. Alright. One of them visited me a little bit ago, maybe sometimes in May, and they did crocheting on the wheel while I was throwing, so kind of an interesting dynamic. Okay. Oh yeah. I didn't even finish wedging. I got so distracted. Alright. Here we go. Yeah, sometime in May they came by and did some crocheting while I was throwing on the wheel. That's kind of like one of my dreams, is that if this ever pops off, it'd be cool to have like my friends stop in and do some of their art, right? Like one of my friends is really into painting, and I was like, oh, how cool would it be to have like, all right, camera painting, and then it would swap over to like my friend's painting or something, right? And then I could have them miniature, like hanging out on the wheel. I think it'd be crazy. Yeah, it's just hard because everybody has their own little lives going on, you know? Alright. Camera A. There we go. Is it just... Why is there no background, right? Is there no background? What the heck? What is that? You guys can't... It's just my viewing analytics. There we go. That's a little bit better. Alrighty. Here we go, guys. I'm gonna pop over here. Get some energy. Green on. Good morning, chili dogs. What you focus on grows. Feed them horses. 3 more pots coming at you guys. We're gonna do these 3. We're gonna kind of be quick, but we're not too quick. The past 2 days I've been rushing because I gotta drive to the airport and stuff and go to like all these other places. But today, we're gonna take a little bit more time with the pots. See you over there in a second. Camera C. Green off. I couldn't really tell if it's if it even, you guys could even see me, so I hope so. Yeah, it looks like you guys can see me. Camera A. Camera C. Camera B. Here we go, guys. Down to the bottom. Pottery podcast. Invite your friends. I don't know if that's really their thing right now. I don't want to like rope them into something that they're not really prepared for. But I have had this idea of like doing a podcast with other potters and calling it Hot Off the Wheel, and I'll just throw while I have the potters just hanging out talking about pottery stuff. But we'll see. All right. Camera A. Right to the top. Put some water on there. Right down. Right down to the bottom. Slowly lower that hand and bring it up to that left hand, and there we go. Get some water right on the top. You'd watch a pottery podcast any day. It's gotta be, I want it to be cool though, you know, like I want it to be like, not like, I've seen some pottery podcasts where it's just like 2 people sitting on the wheel, kind of just like goofing around. Like goofing around is fine, but I want it to be kind of like an epic goofing around, not just like a goofing around silly, you know. I have this like dream of having like a bunch of different like wheels set up, and then have them all like different sizes, you know, like the background would be somebody throwing. This right here is me throwing, and then a couple people like throwing mini. I think it'd be kind of lit, but again, it's gonna take some time to set that stuff up, and I got my bigger project to worry about right now. I'll bring this down. Camera C. Hammer fist coming right down on top. Take my hammer fist and slowly walk that back towards my palm. There we go, nice and centered. Also have some hair. It's just gonna keep getting full of clay here, so. Is it possible to work on one piece? Like have 3 people sit around the wheel? That'd be kind of funny. You know, you should look up, maybe it's Chinese Zhengdejin pottery. Three people throwing on the wheel. And you'd be surprised, you'll see like a bunch of people all thrown on the wheel together. It's kind of epic. It's like they're throwing a giant like kiddie pool sized pot, and there's 3 dudes just like holding each other's like hands in place to move that much clay. Kind of epic. Open this up, using those fingertips to bring that out to the edge there. My head camera is a little bit off to the side, I'm noticing. I'm gonna slowly bring this out to this edge here. Round off this top edge. I'm gonna bring our friend of the stream, Mr. Llama! Hey guys, we're gonna do a pottery pole called the Volcano Pole. Brought to you by Mr. Llama, that's me! Right down to the bottom edge. Camera B. Mr. Llama's gonna bite right on this rim. He's slowly gonna walk this back. And the key with Mr. Llama is you don't want to be too forceful, but you're bringing that hand back as that left hand's pushing forward. There you go, you got your volcano. Looked it up. Chinese giant pottery, pretty awesome. Yeah, it's pretty cool when you see all those guys working on that wheel together. Alright, grab your knuckle. Slowly bring that in right at this bottom base. Shift that interior base inwards. Oh, so we kind of skipped over a little bit on this bottom, so it's not fully centered there. You can even see that little line. Do you see right here? It's a little bit off, so I went too quick right on that base. So we're gonna round off this top again, kind of bring this inwards. We're gonna start right again at the bottom. Why would I bring the top in to correct the bottom? I'm just bringing it in, so then when I correct the bottom, it doesn't create this to be super wonky. It's still controlled and inward. You can always control the clay a lot more when that rim is in. So that's all I... Remember me? I'm not sure. Remind me what you... Did you say anything in chat? Alright, right down to the bottom here. Slowly. Push this in slowly, project this right over the top. There we go. Okay, I'll probably color this in just a little bit more, but let me see, what is this thinness on the bottom looking like? It might be okay. We'll just do this, finish off this little pole to add some nice little lines here. You can see those little finger grooves we're adding. Sometimes I think it makes the tendril or the veins of the tree look a little bit nicer. How long did it take you to learn pottery? I feel like I get asked that question a little bit, so I don't really remember you specifically. Alright, get some water there. Or are you just asking that question right now? Alright. Okay. Slow on this. So we bring this all the way out. There we go. And so this is one where we totally open up that top. The clay was a little bit thicker, so I know it could handle that sort of stress. I am right now. Oh, okay. So, how long did it take me to learn pottery? I don't know. I feel like I haven't really learned all the aspects of pottery yet. So, I still say I'm still learning. But I've been making stuff on the wheel for 4.5 years. And I have, before I started to be able to throw, it probably took me a year of throwing before I could get not consistent results, but I could make things consistently. Does that make sense? I'm making a tree. What does throw mean exactly? Yeah, you know what? I don't really know. People just I've always heard it's just being called like throwing on the wheel. I would assume there's probably some like old school technique of like making stuff on the pottery wheel that involved like throwing it on the wheel maybe, right? Or like not like actually like manipulating clay, but like throwing it. I would assume that there's some weird history around that word. Alright. Cool. Alright, let's get on this bottom edge here. How many hours do you think you need to be potting to actually get decent at it? I feel like there's potters who've been making pottery for like 20 years that still don't really understand manipulating material. So I don't know if it's an hours thing. It's more about like what you're focusing on, right? Like I think a lot of potters, they don't even really focus on the wheel stuff. They focus more on like the addressing the problems after the fact. Like people love trimming. People love like covering up the form with glaze and other little surface embellishments. And so I would say if you're really trying to get good at pottery, just focusing on what you do on the wheel always comes first. Everything else shouldn't matter at the beginning, in my personal way of making. Like I don't really care about any of that other stuff because right now all I'm doing is focusing on the wheel. I'm not going to be, I don't really focus on the glazing and finishing the objects, right? Because I don't even think the forms are ready for that yet, right? I think people try to jump right into finishing the objects when they haven't really honed the form, you know? Alright, right down to the bottom. Somebody asked me how old I am. I always think that's interesting because I never really understand why people ask, and I usually think it's not good intentions that come with that question. I feel like people, when they ask me my age, it's either to judge me or it's to see how they, like, if I'm close to their age, you know? And so, I don't know. It's not really important, right? I will say, people always say, without my beard, I would look 12 years younger than what I look like normally. So, if that gives you any idea. There you go. The history of different clays, are you interested for besides doing it? The history, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I'm interested in the history, like specific things though, but like I'd rather I don't even like doing it, so the history is just kind of maybe like a byproduct of certain particular interests in that moment or that week or whatever, you know? So it's more of just like I like to work on myself, and pottery is that thing that helps me do that, you know? Alright. But I respect people who are really into the history of pottery, but I also think that a lot of people who make pottery are way more interested in the history of it, and they think that if they know the history of it, that it makes them like better makers. And I don't necessarily think that's a one-to-one relation. You don't like doing it? Yeah, not really. Like I said, like this is just the thing that I ended up on during my last year of my last year and a half of school, because I wanted to do drawing and animation stuff, and that didn't really work out. So then I picked up pottery because it was like a last ditch effort, right? And then I told myself, all right, well, I'm not gonna give up on anything anymore. So it's more of just like an obligation I have to myself. There we go. Camera A. I like the things you can do with pottery, right? Like I can give people like gifts, like tangible gifts, right? Like I think that's kind of cool. But actually doing stuff on the wheel, not really. Don't be sad. It's okay. Making trees again? Oh yeah, you know it, yo. Right down to the bottom here. Camera C. Get ready to open this up. Fill that with some water. Fill that pond. Go right down to the bottom. Get ready. Grab your Captain Hook and slowly open this up. Is it difficult to make a tree? I don't know. I don't really think... It's difficult to get a good tree. How's that sound, right? But difficulty is relative to the user, right? I think some people have a really hard time with throwing, where others, depending on other activities that they do, it kind of makes is a little bit easier for them, right? Also, we made a volcano there. Sorry, Mr. Llama was not available to talk at that moment. If you could instantly have a competence in something, can be anything, what would you be able to do? For me, producing music. What is it for you? That's a difficult question. I think there's nothing in my life that I want to just be naturally good at, because I feel like I wouldn't want to do it then. Like, I kind of like the struggle of working and learning through something, but if you had to twist my wrist on that, maybe I like cooking food. I feel like most of my food that I cook is about like at a 2 out of 10. And sometimes I have to like just like wolf it down. But anyway, camera B. Camera B. Right down to this bottom edge here. Slowly walk up this little bump. Slowly loosen that when we get to the top because it's getting a little bit thinner. Alright. Again, we're going to color this in. Okay. Get ready for one more pull. Right down to the bottom. Push in. Slowly allow that finger up above to project it right up over top. There you go. Now you have this little bump, and that's what you're going to be carrying up. We're going to start going a little bit out wide here towards this top because we're going to be making this a tree, right? There we go. Okay. Get that water out of that interior there. All right. Get ready to twist this down, guys. Kiss that rim. There you go. So we got 5 veins on this tree. I'm gonna slowly pop this out here. You got a little bit of a lean. But right now, I'm thinking about what I want to do. We already did a pattern tendril, so maybe we want to do something a little bit different. Does your washing machine or shower have problems from the clay? No, before you wash your clothes, you want to make sure all the clay on your clothes is totally dried, and you shouldn't have problems because it will dissolve. At my shower, not really any problems again. You want to make sure any big chunks, you get them off of you first, right? But are all my clay or all my clothes kind of dirty? Like stained from clay? Yeah, a little bit. I don't really have clean clothes anymore. Right down to this bottom edge here. Looks like an optical illusion in some way. I feel like there's a way to probably make it look more like an optical illusion. I feel like I don't really know enough about optical illusions other than looking at them. Okay, so here we go. Bring this in, bring this in, bring this in, bring this in. We got a 4 pedal right on the bottom there. Alrighty, camera C. Here we go. Bring this over here. We got one more to do, guys. I have a question for you. What is the thing that you break? What's the thing that you have to break to use it? A can, right? Like you have to break open the can and you can't put it back. Can you actually use them, or are they just for art? So what do you mean by use? Like, what is a usable, you know what I mean? Like, what's function used? Is functional, like, you mean like a cup? Or is a vase have a function? Or is art functional, question mark? I don't really even call what I do art. So, like, I always say they're just for my mentality. To eat, to put stuff in, if you wanted to. Push this in. All right. Camera A. Whoa, bring this up. Oh, it's ripped, guys. Okay, so So let's see if we can fix this. So you're gonna use your fingers here and slowly tilt this over. Oh, we did it. So you see how I'm using my fingers to cut through that clay, right? You can see where my finger lines are. And so that's what I'm using. If you just use your palm, you're gonna keep on pushing, but if you use your fingers, you can actually cut through and create new points of contact for it to stay together there. You actually have to break it to use it. You have to break it to use it. Oh, a freaking fire alarm, right? Like it has to, the smoke melts that seal, so it breaks it, and that's what makes it usable, like turns on the sound on. Alright. Are your cameras like voice activated, or is there someone changing the views? They're voice activated, but I wanted, my first inclination when you asked that question was to tell you I have a pet rat that changes the camera for me. Part of the class tomorrow. Any tips? Go slow. Really cement each moment before you move to the next, right? I'll give you an example here in a second. Like when you go to pull up the wall, right? Think of it as like almost like a 3D printer printing a layer, right? You can't print the next layer if you haven't finished the layer below it, right? So that same way, you need it to make one full rotation before you start moving your finger at all. How are you reading off that screen? It looks covered. It is covered. Like Ratatouille for photography. So funny. Super cool pet rat would be crazy though. That's what I'm saying. I think it'd be kind of awesome. Alright, anyway. Llamas here, guys. One last llama pull to make our volcano. Let's get into it. Camera B. Llama's biting on this rim. And then after, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tip for your first pottery class there, okay? So bring this in, right? Okay. So first thing I would say is a tip for you is when you're going for a pull, people end up speeding up, right? Like a lot of people would struggle to get this clay up, right? So what you need to do when you first approach that clay is you want to shift the clay inward. So you're down first, right? So step one, down. Then slowly bring your fist or your knuckle in towards your hand on the interior, right? And you see how I just pushed all that clay up into it? A lot of times people will go right into the pole, right? And then they use that almost as a ramp and they miss all that clay and their bottoms end up being way too thick. But you want to first push that hole, your two hands go in, right? And then when you're in, you're going to take that interior hand here, right? If this is on the interior, and it's right at the bottom, and it's going to slowly go up, out, and then you're going to cruise, right? So I'll show you. So I'm right at that bottom. I'm going to go up, out, I have this bump, and I'm going to slowly go up, right? And you can see I have this little bump here. I got to be careful. I'm trying to move too much clay. Okay. I'll show you a better example here once it gets a little bit thinner. Hold on one moment. Okay, I'm going to color this in just a little bit and I'll give you a better example. The first couple pulls aren't really for getting height, they're for getting the clay equalized. But here we go. So again, I'm in. I'm taking my finger on the interior up. Do you see how I've created this little bump because it's out over the fingers below it? And then I'm slowly lifting this up, right? So really go slower on that base, get this bump. Don't be pulling if you don't see this bump, right? slow that down when you get to the top because it's thinner up here, so you don't want to keep on stretching out that clay. I'm gonna slowly walk this inward here. Okay. Do you sell your stuff you make? No. I don't reuse them, I just make them, I let them sit there. Do you think you could teach an ape to make pottery on the wheel? No. I feel like that would be impossible. But somebody did teach a gorilla how to use sign language, so maybe it's possible. I just don't think I can. Alright, right down to the bottom. That's fake? Oh, really? I never knew. Do you think you could do this stuff if you had no hands? There's some potters on Instagram, I feel like, that don't have hands that do pottery. Or at least a guy who only has one hand. Alright. Hold on. I kind of want to bring this back out, this base out a little bit. And I want to slowly bring this up because I kind of knocked that bottom off, you could kind of see. Alright. Okay. So here we go. We're going to slowly do a little spiral here, so slow that wheel down. And stop. And get ready. Exaggerate this. Get ready. Right on this top. Twist this down. Bring this out as much as you can. And kiss that rim. Kind of a squatty tree, so I'm not really liking that top part, but we could probably do something to make this pot a little bit more interesting with a double tendril here, right? But you can kind of see how, look, I probably could have shortened that bottom buffer and made this a little bit taller, you know, like if I'm looking at it. But anyway, okay, we're gonna bring this up. You could do something with the bottom. You're talking about with this? You know, you probably could do something, but I feel like what would happen though is if I did anything on it, it'd probably collapse this even more and shrink it down. And I feel like you get to a certain height where it just feels unintentional if it's too short, right? Okay. Yeah, see, the top does look a little squished. See? Look, do you do a lot of pottery or no, right? I feel like you don't need to be a potter to tell when something looks a little bit off on the wheel, right? There we go. Maybe we want to bring this up and over. I'll leave these just like that. Looks like there are these two little veiny things here. And there we go. I feel like they look a little bit messy. My fingers are dry, but you'd be surprised on how much, or like if you look at the clay here, so camera C. So look at my, like the water here. Do you see how it's not water? It's mostly clay. And so if I was responsible, what I should have done is I should have got rid of all that and reset it. Because now if you look at the surface, camera B, you'll see like on this, they kind of look a little bit slimy. Some of that will go away when it dries, like when the actual clay dries. Like some of it will actually just like go away and kind of shrink down into and match the form a little bit better. But I will say that it probably would have looked a little bit nicer if I had my hands a little bit more water on it. The water using has become too thick. Yeah, totally. Just from working with it too long. All right. Here we go, guys. We're gonna bring this one right here. Camera A. Where's my little, oh, it's all the way over here? What the heck? Everything's all scattered right now. It's a mess. Camera C. So look, I have all this water leaking. Come on, stop leaking. Camera A. This feels like it's gonna fall if I do that. But I do want to get this one over a little bit more. Look okay? Yeah, that's fine. But I do want it like in the middle there. Sweet. 2 pots of water and switch when it is. Yeah, I literally have a bucket like right there that I should have just stopped and done that. Sending energy? Oh, you already know. Alright guys, send me some energy. I need to shrink myself down here. Also, I almost want to water my hands a little bit cleaner here. Okay. So if I'm looking at this, make sure I get this a little bit more. How's that looking? Yeah, I'm liking that. Okay. Send me some energy, guys. Here we go, guys. Green on. Let's get into the pottery review. We're gonna start off with this one. You know, this one, I like kind of the interest. It's doing something a little bit different with the tendrils, kind of having it give this little circle, you know, swirly thing on the side with the tendril there. But I'm not really loving this pot. The form itself is a little bit uninspired. I also think, do you see how at the base it's a little bit more narrow, kind of goes out wider and then tucks in? I'm not really liking this one. I think the buffer is a little bit too long and that top tree is a little bit too squatty. If I get over here, I think this one's the real winner of the day. The clay was a little bit thicker. Whenever the clay is thicker, you know, you're sacrificing some height, you know, by allowing it to be thicker, but you also get a lot more uniformity and you can bring it out a little bit wider. And so as soon as I finished bringing that out a little bit, oh, I was like, oh, it's thick enough where I can actually pull that whole entire top out, giving it that full release on that top, right? I did some tendrils on the bottom here, but keeping it with the pattern so it doesn't look too different, but really selling that tree look to it, right? And then we got the one on the top. I did a 4-petal on the top. This is a more basic one, but I think that has a nice contrast to the form. You know, it's a little bit more slender and a a little bit wide on the top. Not as much as this one, but I still think it's a good pot. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. All the best, strong mentality. Let's wheel. Dang, that's so embarrassing, guys. I was literally just talking to you guys for forever. You guys can hear me now, right? I was reading some of your guys' comments. I like the mid is mid joke. I like that one. I also think that middle one was kind of just, it was average. It was mid. I didn't really like the one that was over here, the buffer one, that much. But the one on the right was really nice. But, yeah. But somebody said, one more dance. I can give you another little mashup here. Here. Goated 1.
Get over here! Get over here! Get over here! Get over here!
Let's dance! Let's dance!
Alright. There you go. Alright. But that's all I got today, guys. Tell voice attack to mute so that doesn't happen again. True. Alright, guys. I'm heading off here, so computer, peace out, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.